1. The mistake that changed everything. Emma Wall stared at her computer screen, exhausted after another 14-hour day at Blake Industries. Her eyes burned from reviewing endless marketing reports, and her brain felt like mush. It was nearly midnight in the empty office tower, and she was the only one left on the 23rd floor. She opened her email to vent to her best friend Rachel about her impossible crush on the company's CEO, Damian Blake. For 3 years, she had harbored secret feelings for the devastatingly handsome billionaire who barely knew she existed. Tonight, fueled by exhaustion and 2 glasses of wine from the office party earlier, she decided to finally confess everything to Rachel. Her fingers flew across the keyboard, pouring out 3 years of longing. She wrote about how Damian's rare smile made her heart race, how his commanding presence in meetings left her breathless, how she dreamed about running her fingers through his dark hair. She described every detail of her impossible fantasy, holding nothing back. With a satisfied sigh, Emma hit send and closed her laptop. She gathered her things and headed home, completely unaware that her exhausted brain had auto-filled the wrong contact. Instead of Rachel Kim, she had sent her deeply personal confession to Damian Blake himself. The morning after, Emma woke to 17 missed calls from Rachel and a text that made her blood run cold. "Check your sent emails right now." With trembling hands, she opened her email app. Her stomach dropped as she saw the recipient name. Not Rachel. Damian Blake, CEO. Her boss's boss's boss. No, she whispered, her entire body going numb. She had sent her most intimate thoughts directly to the man she had been fantasizing about. Her career was over. Her reputation was destroyed. She would have to leave the city, change her name, and never show her face in corporate America again. Emma called in sick, unable to face the office. She spent the day in her tiny apartment, alternating between panic attacks and desperate plans to flee the country. But by evening, her phone buzzed with an email from Damian's assistant. "Mr. Blake requests your presence in his office at 8 a.m. tomorrow. This meeting is mandatory." She barely slept, imagining 1,000 different scenarios of her humiliation and termination. The confrontation. Emma arrived at Blake Industries at 7:45, her palms sweating despite the building's aggressive air conditioning. She wore her most professional navy suit like armor, her hair pulled back severely, trying to project confidence she absolutely did not feel. Damian's assistant, a kind woman named Margaret, gave her a sympathetic look before ushering her into the massive corner office. Floor-to-ceiling windows showcased the Manhattan skyline, and expensive art decorated the walls. Behind an imposing mahogany desk sat Damian Blake himself. He was even more handsome up close than Emma had realized. His dark hair was slightly tousled, his jaw strong and defined, his gray eyes intense as they fixed on her. He wore a charcoal suit that probably cost more than her monthly rent, and he radiated power and control. "Miss Walsh," he said, his deep voice sending shivers down her spine despite her terror, "please sit down." Emma's legs barely carried her to the leather chair across from him. She folded her hands in her lap to keep them from shaking. "I assume you know why you're here," Damian continued, picking up a printed copy of her email. Emma wanted to die. He had actually printed it out. This was worse than any nightmare. "Mr. Blake, I'm so incredibly sorry. It was late, I was exhausted, I meant to send it to my friend Rachel, and I clicked the wrong contact. I never meant for you to see that. I completely understand if you want me to resign. I'll pack my desk today and—" "Emma." Her name on his lips stopped her rambling. "I'm not asking for your resignation." She blinked, certain she had misheard. "You're not?" "No." He stood up, moving around the desk with predatory grace. Emma's heart hammered as he approached. "Do you want to know what I thought when I read your email?" Emma could barely breathe. "That I'm completely unprofessional and inappropriate." A small smile played at the corner of his mouth. "At first, yes, but then I kept reading, And I realized something. He leaned against his desk, close enough that she could smell his expensive cologne. You see me. What? In 3 years, you've noticed things about me that no one else has. You mentioned how I take my coffee black, but add sugar when I'm stressed. How I loosen my tie during difficult negotiations. How you always pause before making important decisions. His gray eyes held hers. Emma's mouth dried. This conversation was not going how she imagined. I spend every day surrounded by people who want something from me. Money, connections, opportunities. But you've never asked me for anything. You do excellent work, stay late without complaint, and apparently harbor feelings you never intended to act on. I'm really sorry, Emma whispered. Damien moved closer, and suddenly he was standing right in front of her chair. What if I told you something? He asked quietly. What if I told you that I've noticed you, too? That I've watched you work late, admired your dedication, and found myself looking for you in meetings? Emma stood slowly, her legs unsteady. This sounds impossible. You're Damien Blake. You could have anyone. He closed the distance between them in 2 steps. Maybe I don't want just anyone. Maybe I want the brilliant, observant woman who sends accidental confessions at midnight. They stood inches apart, electricity crackling between them. Emma could see golden flecks in his gray eyes, could count his eyelashes, could feel heat radiating from his body. This is a terrible idea, she breathed, even as her body swayed towards his. I work for you. There are policies. I know. I've been listing all the reasons why this is impossible since I read your email. But I can't stop thinking about you, Emma. His hand came up slowly, giving her time to pull away. She didn't. His fingers brushed her cheek, tucking a strand of hair behind her ear. The touch sent electricity down her spine. What do we do? She asked. We could walk away right now, pretend this never happened, stay professional. Or we could see where this goes. Carefully, privately, honestly. Emma knew she should choose safety, but when had she ever wanted something this desperately? I choose the second option, she whispered. Damien smiled, a real smile that transformed his entire face. Good, because I was hoping you'd say that. The first date. That evening, Emma found herself in Damien's sleek black car driving 2 hours outside the city to a small coastal restaurant where no one would recognize them. She had changed 3 times before settling on a simple emerald dress that made her eyes sparkle. The drive was surprisingly easy. They talked about everything except work, childhood memories, favorite books, dreams they had abandoned. Damien told her about the pressure of inheriting his father's empire at 26, about the loneliness of success. Emma shared stories of growing up in Vermont, her journey to New York, and her complicated relationship with her ambitious older sister. You're different than I imagined, Damien said over dinner, candlelight flickering between them. Different how? Funnier, more real. At the office, you're always so composed, but right now you're relaxed. I like seeing this side of you. Emma felt warmth spread through her chest. You're different too. Less intimidating, more human. He laughed, the sound rich and genuine. I hope that's a compliment. It is. The billionaire CEO thing can be overwhelming. The billionaire CEO thing, he repeated with amusement. You know what I mean. The power, the control, the way everyone jumps when you walk in a room. Damien reached across the table, his fingers brushing hers. You never have to be intimidated by me, Emma. I want you to be yourself. The touch was brief, but electric. This was really happening. She was on a date with Damien Blake, and it felt natural, right, like pieces clicking into place. They talked through dinner, through dessert, through coffee. When the restaurant closed, they reluctantly left, neither wanting the evening to end. The kiss. In the car, Damien drove slower than necessary, taking scenic routes that stretched the journey. As they neared the city, He pulled into an overlook showing the glittering Manhattan skyline. "I don't want to take you home yet," he admitted, turning off the engine. "I don't want to go home yet either," Emma said softly. The car suddenly felt small, intimate. Damien turned to face her, moonlight casting shadows across his handsome features. "I need to be honest. I haven't felt this way about anyone in years, maybe ever. It terrifies me." Emma's heart hammered. "It terrifies me too. This could go wrong in so many ways. But it could also go right." His hand cupped her face, thumb tracing her cheekbone. "I want to try, Emma. I want to see where this leads." "So do I," she whispered. He leaned in slowly, giving her every chance to pull away, but Emma met him halfway, her lips pressing against his in a kiss that felt like coming home and jumping off a cliff simultaneously. His lips were soft but demanding, his hands sliding into her hair as he deepened the kiss. Emma gripped his jacket, pulling him closer, pouring 3 years of longing into that single moment. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Damien rested his forehead against hers. That was worth waiting for. "Definitely worth it," Emma agreed, her lips tingling. They sat in that car for another hour, kissing and talking and laughing. When he finally drove her home, Damien walked her to her door, kissed her one more time, and made her promise to text when she was safely inside. Emma floated into her apartment, touching her lips and replaying every moment. She had no idea how they would make this work, but she knew she wanted to try. Her accidental email had opened a door to possibilities she never imagined, and for the first time in years, Emma felt truly, completely happy.
Part 2. Love Against All Odds. The Secret Romance. The following weeks were intoxicating and exhausting in equal measure. Emma and Damien developed a careful choreography at Blake Industries, addressing each other formally, maintaining appropriate distance in meetings, and never letting their eyes linger too long. But beneath the professional surface, every interaction hummed with secret meaning. When Damien asked her to stay late to review quarterly projections, they would work diligently for an hour before surrendering to stolen kisses in his locked office. When they passed in hallways, the slightest brush of fingers sent electricity through both their bodies. They created a private language of glances and subtle gestures that no one else could decode. Their actual dates happened far from Manhattan, in places where Damien Blake's famous face wouldn't be recognized. They explored art galleries in Connecticut, had picnics in upstate parks where autumn leaves painted the world gold and crimson, and spent long evenings in cozy restaurants talking about philosophy, childhood dreams, and the future they were tentatively building together. Emma discovered layers to Damien she never suspected. Beyond the ruthless businessman was a man who rescued stray cats, who cried during sad movies when he thought she wasn't looking, who had genuine anxiety about living up to his late father's legacy. He was brilliant and driven, yes, but also kind and surprisingly vulnerable. Damien, in turn, marveled at Emma's sharp wit and creative thinking. She challenged his assumptions, made him laugh during stressful board meetings with subtle texts, and helped him remember why he had fallen in love with business innovation in the first place. With her, he could just be Damien, not the CEO, not the billionaire heir, just himself. But keeping their relationship secret proved harder than either had anticipated. The suspicions begin. Emma's best friend Rachel cornered her during their weekly coffee date, eyes narrowed with suspicion. "Okay, spill. Who is he?" "Who is who?" Emma asked innocently, stirring her latte. The mystery man who's got you glowing like a Christmas tree. You've been canceling plans, smiling at your phone constantly, and last Tuesday you literally hummed while doing expense reports. Nobody hums during expense reports unless they're in love. Emma felt heat creep up her neck. I'm not. It's complicated. Complicated how? Is he married? Criminal? A magician who only appears during full moons? None of those things. It's just, we're keeping it private for now. Professional reasons. Oh my God. It's someone from work. Emma Walsh, are you dating someone from the office? I didn't say that.
You didn't have to. Your face just confirmed everything. Rachel leaned forward, lowering her voice. Please tell me it's not Brandon from accounting. He has terrible breath and collects toenail clippings. Despite her anxiety, Emma laughed. It's definitely not Brandon. Good. So who is it? Wait, is it someone senior? Emma, please tell me you're not sleeping with your boss? Brandon is my direct supervisor, and it's definitely not him, Emma said carefully, which was technically true. Look, I promise I'll tell you everything when the time is right. For now, just trust that I'm happy and being careful. Rachel studied her friend's face before sighing. Fine, but when this mystery man breaks your heart, I'm going to need a name so I can key his car. Office whispers. At Blake Industries, Emma's improved mood hadn't gone unnoticed. Colleagues commented on her constant smile, her increased confidence, the way she seemed to glow during meetings, and people started watching. The whispers began subtly. Emma would enter the break room and conversations would die. She caught fragments of speculation when she passed cubicles. Spending a lot of time with upper management. Did you see how she looked at career advancement through questionable means? She tried ignoring it, focusing on her work and the beautiful secret she shared with Damien. Her latest marketing campaign for Blake Industries' new tech division was generating impressive buzz, proving that she earned her position through talent, not favoritism. But the rumors gained momentum when someone claimed they had seen Emma getting into an expensive car in the parking garage after hours. Another person swore they noticed Damien watching her during the quarterly presentation with more than professional interest. Emma felt the weight of scrutiny pressing down on her. Even supportive colleagues like her supervisor Brandon started asking careful questions about her workload and whether she felt comfortable with all the extra projects she was handling. The situation came to a head on a rainy Wednesday evening. Emma returned to her apartment after a late dinner with Damien, her heart full and her lips still tingling from his goodbye kiss. She was humming while unlocking her door when she noticed the envelope. Plain white paper, slipped underneath her door. No name, no return address. With trembling hands, she opened it. The message was printed in generic font, cold and threatening. Everyone knows about you and Blake. Stop before you embarrass yourself. Girls like you don't belong with men like him. He'll throw you away when he's bored. Save yourself the humiliation. Emma's legs gave out. She sank to the floor, staring at the cruel words. Someone knew. Someone was watching them. Someone wanted to destroy what they had built. Her phone buzzed. A text from Damien. Home safe? Missing you already. She called him instead of texting back. Emma? What's wrong? He picked up immediately, hearing the distress in her breathing. Someone knows, she whispered. Someone sent me a note. I'm coming over. His voice turned hard, protective. Don't touch anything. I'll be there in 20 minutes. Damien's arrival. True to his word, Damien arrived exactly 20 minutes later, having broken multiple speed limits to get there. Emma buzzed him up, and moments later, he was at her door, pulling her into his arms. Her small apartment with its thrift store furniture and plants clustered on every available surface was a stark contrast to his penthouse, but he didn't seem to notice anything except her distress. Show me, he said gently. Emma handed him the note. She watched his jaw clench as he read it, watched fury flash in his gray eyes. This is psychological warfare. he said, his voice tight with controlled anger. "Whoever sent this wants to intimidate you, make you feel small and unworthy, but they're a coward hiding behind anonymous threats." "Maybe they're right," Emma said quietly, sinking onto her worn couch. "Maybe this is wrong. Maybe I should walk away before it gets worse." Damien knelt in front of her, taking both of her hands in his. "Look at me, Emma." She met his intense gaze. "Don't let some coward with a printer make decisions about your life. If you want to end this relationship, end it because you want to, not because someone scared you into it." "What do you want?" she asked, searching his face. "I want you," he said fiercely. "I want us. I'm tired of hiding, tired of pretending you're just another employee when you're so much more. I want to stop sneaking around and tell the whole world that you're mine. The company has policies. I know the policies. I helped write them. And I know there are complications and potential consequences, but I'm willing to face them, Emma. The question is, are you?" Emma looked at this powerful, successful man, kneeling before her in her tiny apartment, looking at her like she was the most precious thing in his world. How could she walk away from this? From him? "Yes," she whispered. "I'm willing to face them." Damien pulled her into his arms, and they held each other. As rain pattered against the windows, neither knew that the real test of their relationship was just beginning.
The HR ultimatum. The confrontation came on a gray Tuesday morning. Emma was summoned to a meeting with Victoria Hayes, the formidable HR director known for her rigid enforcement of company policy. Brandon, her supervisor, was also present, looking distinctly uncomfortable. "Miss Walsh," Victoria began, without preamble, her expression severe, "it has come to our attention that you may be involved in an inappropriate relationship with CEO Damien Blake. Is this true?" Emma's heart stopped. Her mouth went dry. She could lie, deny everything, but she was exhausted from hiding. "Who told you that?" she asked instead. "That's not relevant. Answer the question. Are you romantically involved with Mr. Blake?" A long silence stretched between them. Emma thought about Damien, about their stolen moments and genuine connection, about falling asleep on his shoulder while watching old movies in his apartment, about the way he looked at her like she hung the stars. "Yes," she said quietly but firmly, "it's true." Brandon winced. Victoria's expression remained unchanged. "You understand that Blake Industries has a strict policy against relationships between executives and their subordinates. Such relationships create conflicts of interest, potential liability issues, and workplace imbalances. With respect, Damien doesn't directly supervise me. Brandon is my immediate supervisor." "Mr. Blake is the CEO," Victoria said coldly. "Everyone in this company ultimately reports to him. The policy applies." Emma's stomach churned. "So what happens now?" "You have two options. First, you can transfer to our Los Angeles office, where there would be no direct reporting relationship. The position would be lateral with comparable salary and benefits. Los Angeles is 3,000 miles away. Your second option," Victoria continued as if Emma hadn't spoken, "is to resign, effective immediately. We would provide a generous severance package and excellent references." "You're making me choose between my career and my personal life?" Emma said, anger replacing fear. "We're offering solutions to a policy violation. Many companies would simply terminate you. We're being generous." Emma stood up, her hands clenched into fists. "Has Damien been given the same ultimatum?" Victoria's pause was telling. "Mr. Blake's situation is being handled separately." "Of course it is," Emma said bitterly. "He's the powerful CEO, so he gets different treatment. I'm just the expendable employee." "Miss Walsh, I suggest you take 24 hours to consider your options," Brandon interjected, clearly trying to help. "This doesn't have to be decided this instant." Emma left the meeting feeling like she'd been physically struck. She went straight to Damien's office, not caring who saw. His assistant tried to stop her, but Emma walked right past, pushing open his door. Damien was on the phone, but immediately ended the call when he saw her face. "Emma, what happened?" She told him everything, words tumbling out in an angry rush. By the time she finished, Damien's jaw was clenched, his hands fisted on his mahogany desk. "They can't do this," he said, his voice dangerously quiet. "They already did. I have to choose, Damien. My career or you." "Then choose me," he said without hesitation. "Choose us." "I don't want to be taken care of," Emma interrupted sharply. "I want to stand on my own. I worked incredibly hard to get where I am. I'm good at my job, Damien. And now I have to throw it all away because we fell in love." The words hung in the air. It was the first time either had said it out loud. Damien came around the desk, pulling her into his arms. "You love me?" he asked softly. "Yes," she whispered against his chest. "I love you. And I hate that loving you is costing me everything else." "It doesn't have to." His mind was clearly working, calculating options. "Give me 24 hours. Don't make any decisions yet. Just trust me." Emma wanted to trust him, but fear gnawed at her. Fear of losing her independence, of being seen as the woman who slept her way to success, of this beautiful thing they'd built crumbling under external pressure. But when she looked into his eyes, she saw determination and love reflected back at her. 24 hours, she agreed. The grand gesture. Damien spent that entire day and night working on a solution. He consulted lawyers, convened emergency board meetings, and prepared documents that would change everything. He barely slept, fueled by coffee and desperate determination. The next evening was Blake Industries' annual charity gala, a black-tie event attended by employees, board members, investors, and New York's social elite. Emma had planned to skip it, but Brandon insisted her presence was required given the circumstances. She wore a deep sapphire gown that made her eyes sparkle, her hair swept up elegantly. She felt beautiful and miserable simultaneously, knowing this might be one of her last events as a Blake Industries employee. The grand ballroom glittered with crystal chandeliers and champagne. Emma stood near the bar, nursing wine and trying to ignore the curious stares of colleagues who had obviously heard rumors. Then the room fell silent as Damien entered. He wore a perfectly tailored tuxedo that emphasized his broad shoulders and commanding presence. He looked every inch the powerful billionaire, but his eyes scanned the crowd with single-minded focus until they found her. Everything else faded away. He walked directly to her, ignoring everyone else, ignoring protocol and professional distance. "Dance with me," he said, extending his hand. "Damien, everyone is watching," Emma whispered urgently. "I know." His eyes held hers. "Dance with me anyway." She placed her hand in his, and he led her to the center of the dance floor. The orchestra began a slow waltz, and Damien pulled her close, one hand on his waist, the other holding her hand against his chest. "What are you doing?" Emma asked as whispers erupted around them. "Something I should have done weeks ago. I'm tired of hiding, Emma. I'm tired of pretending you're just another employee when you're everything to me." "You'll damage your reputation. The board will be furious." "I don't care," he said simply. "You're more important." The song ended, but Damien didn't release her. Instead, he turned to face the room, his arms still around her waist. He raised his free hand, and silence fell like a blanket. "I have an announcement," his voice carried across the ballroom. "Effective immediately, I am stepping down from my position as CEO of Blake Industries." Gasps echoed through the crowd. Board members looked shocked. Investors began murmuring frantically.
Emma stared at him in horror. "What are you doing?" she whispered. He ignored her, continuing his speech. "I've spent the last decade building this company, and I'm proud of our accomplishments. But I've recently discovered something more important than quarterly earnings and market share." He turned to look at Emma, his eyes soft with emotion. "This woman, Emma Walsh, is the most brilliant, dedicated, and genuine person I've ever met. She challenges me, inspires me, and makes me believe in possibilities I'd forgotten existed. The company has policies against relationships between executives and subordinates, and I respect those policies. So I'm removing myself from that equation." "Damien, no," Emma said, tears streaming down her face. "You can't give up everything for me." "I'm not giving up anything," he said, cupping her face with both hands, no longer caring about their audience. "I'm choosing what matters most. I'll still serve on the board, still have influence in the company's direction, but I won't let corporate policies cost me the woman I love." The room erupted in shocked conversation, but Emma heard none of it. All she could see was Damien looking at her with such love and certainty that it stole her breath. "You love me?" she asked, even though he'd just declared it to hundreds of people. "I love you," he confirmed. "I think I've loved you since that accidental email, maybe even before." "I love you too," Emma said, laughing through her tears. "But you're absolutely insane. You can't just quit being CEO." "Watch me," he said. And then he kissed her, right there in the middle of the ballroom, in front of everyone who mattered in New York's business world. The kiss was long and deep and perfect, a promise and a declaration and a beginning all at once. When they finally broke apart, the room was silent for 3 heartbeats before someone started clapping. Then another person joined, and another, until the entire ballroom erupted in applause. The happy ending. The aftermath of that night was chaotic and beautiful. The board initially resisted Damien's resignation, but he had prepared everything meticulously. His chief operating officer, a brilliant woman named Patricia Chen, was promoted to CEO. Damien would remain as chairman of the board, still influential, but no longer in Emma's chain of command. The HR policy no longer applied to them. Emma kept her position, proving through her exceptional work that she belonged at Blake Industries. Her next marketing campaign generated record-breaking revenue, silencing critics who had whispered about favoritism. The anonymous note writer never revealed themselves, but the threatening messages stopped after the gala. Whoever had been trying to intimidate Emma gave up once their relationship became public and was clearly not going anywhere. 3 months after the gala, Damien took Emma back to that same overlook where they had shared their first real kiss. The city sparkled below them, full of infinite possibilities. "I have something to ask you," he said, pulling a small velvet box from his pocket. Emma's heart stopped. "Let me say this first," he interrupted, opening the box to reveal a stunning diamond ring. "You changed my entire life with one accidental email. You made me realize that success means nothing without someone to share it with. You challenge me, inspire me, and make me believe in love." He got down on one knee right there, city lights reflecting in his eyes. "Emma Walsh, will you marry me? Will you let me spend the rest of my life proving that you made the right choice?" Emma was crying again, happy tears that blurred her vision. "Yes," she said, pulling him up and kissing him. "Yes, yes, 1,000 times yes!" He slipped the ring on her finger, and it fit perfectly. Just like they did. Just like they always had from that very first accidental email. 6 months later, they married in an intimate ceremony at a beautiful vineyard in Napa Valley. Emma wore a simple but elegant white dress, her hair loose and natural. Damien cried when he saw her walking down the aisle, not caring who witnessed his emotion. Their vows were personal and heartfelt. Damien promised to always be her partner, never her boss, to support her dreams while building their own together. Emma promised to keep being honest with him, to challenge him when he got too serious, and to love him through whatever came their way. At the reception, as they danced their first dance as husband and wife, Rachel approached with champagne and a mischievous smile. "I have a confession," she said. "What confession?" Emma asked. "That night you sent the email, you didn't send it to me. You sent it to your work contact folder, where Damian Blake was listed right above me alphabetically. I saw it the next morning when you forwarded me your panic message, but I never told you because, honestly, I thought he needed to know how you felt." Emma's mouth dropped open. "You knew the whole time?" "I knew the whole time," Rachel confirmed. "And I stand by my decision. Look how it turned out." Damian laughed, pulling both women into a hug. "Remind me to send you a very generous thank you gift, Rachel." "You already did," Rachel said. "You made my best friend the happiest I've ever seen her." As the evening continued with dancing and celebration and joy, Emma reflected on how one moment of exhaustion and carelessness had led to everything she never knew she wanted. She was terrified that night, horrified by her mistake, but that mistake had opened a door to possibilities she never imagined. She looked at Damian, at the ring on her finger, at the life they were building together. He caught her staring and smiled, that same smile that had made her weak in the knees 3 years ago. "I love you," she mouthed across the dance floor. "I love you more," he mouthed back. And in that moment, surrounded by love and laughter and the promise of forever, Emma knew with absolute certainty that sometimes the best things in life come from the most unexpected mistakes. Her accidental confession had led to deliberate commitment. Her moment of vulnerability had led to strength, and her fear had transformed into the greatest love story she could imagine. The email that was never meant to be sent had delivered her exactly where she was supposed to be all along, in the arms of the man who saw her, truly saw her, and loved everything he found. Their story wasn't about a poor employee landing a rich boss. It was about two people finding authentic connection in the midst of corporate protocol and societal expectations. It was about choosing love over fear, honesty over pretense, and partnership over power dynamics. As Emma and Damian left their reception under a shower of flower petals, hands clasped tightly together, they weren't thinking about mistakes, or policies, or complications. They were thinking about the future they would build together, one honest conversation and deliberate choice at a time. The accidental email had been the beginning, but their real story, the one they would write together for the rest of their lives, was just getting started. The end.